Okay, so welcome to our last class, our final session of the 6 weeks. And as you guys know, today we're going to be conducting our debate that you guys have been preparing for like 2-ish weeks now. So if everybody could have their mics and cameras on, that would be very helpful. So we're going to have the should all drugs be legalized teams go first. We'll have the plastic bags team go second, and then from then on, the judges will choose and see who goes on to the uniform debate. And so that brings us to introducing our judges. Obviously, Ricky and I are going to be judging you guys because we've been teaching you. And then we have Isaac, who is, he's one of our friends and he's here to help out. And then we have Miss Smith, who is going to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Miss Smith. I teach social studies, if you didn't know that.
Yep, so that is that. And while you guys are speaking, we will be, silently judging you. So we hope you enjoy yourselves and let's get started. Oh, and by the way, there's a, we originally said that we had a timekeeper, but if you can see behind Miss Smith, there is a timer for 6 minutes. And if you can read, and then Ricky will explain the time limits that we kind of previously did go over, but we'll go over it again for time limits for POIs and for the grace periods kind of thing.
Okay, so I think we'll be starting off with the first debate now. So the first topic would be all drugs should be legalized, and with the proposition side being David and Heather, Yesing and Yugyun, and the opposition side being Sunlin, Daniel, which is Toyoung, and Xiu. So yeah, bear in mind that. So are you guys all fine with starting?
Yeah.
Okay. So 아까 as Nine just mentioned, 아까 나인이가 얘기했듯이 디베이트 하면서 시간은 저기 미스 스미스 쪽 스크린 보면 it's on the TV, so you guys can look at that, and there will be 15 seconds of grace, 15초 동안 15초 동안 시간 더 줄 거야. We'll be giving you guys 15 seconds more, and she'll be doing with her hand. Okay. So I think I'll be beginning right now. This debate will come to order. The resolution before us is all drugs should be legalized. Representing the proposition are its first speaker, David Kim, the second speaker, Yugyun Kim, Heather. Representing the opposition are its first speaker, Sunmin, second speaker Daniel, Toyoung, and the third speaker Xiu. And on the behalf of the House, I would like to express a sincere welcome to our judges, Nine, Ms. Smith, Isaac, and I. And I'll be your moderator throughout this debate. Okay. Each speaker will deliver a 6-minute constructive speech. The first speaker of each team will also get a 3-minute summary and a rebuttal speech. The timekeeper, which is Ms. Smith, and it's on the screen, will be designating how many minutes are left in each speeches. And please bear in mind that POIs can only be made during after the first 30-second mark and before the last 1-minute mark. So yeah, please bear that in mind. And points of information will be allowed during the constructive speeches only, but not during the first 30 seconds and the last minute, as I already mentioned. And for each speech, 15 seconds of grace will be allowed. And after each speech, I will immediately call upon the next debater to begin his or her address. Are there any questions regarding the rules? 지금까지 질문. Okay, 유경. Yeah?
Do we have to fill the 6 minutes?
You do not necessarily have to fill the 6 minutes, so it's fine if you end earlier. 더 일찍 끝나도 괜찮아. Okay, then I think I'll be beginning the first topic. The first topic is, as I mentioned, all drugs should be legalized, and I will call upon the first speaker, David Kim, to introduce the proposition case for 6 minutes. So, Isn't, yeah,
Do I start?
anytime.
So this proposition believes that all drugs should be legalized. Before moving on, the proposition will like to define the word drug and the word freedom. The word drug, according to the Cambridge English Dictionary, means any natural or artificially made chemical that is taken for pleasure to improve one's performance of an activity or because a person cannot stop using it. The word freedom means the condition or right of being able or allowed to do, say, think, whatever you want to do without being controlled or limited. Drugs should be legalized because people have the freedom to do whatever they want to themselves. Secondly, because if drugs are legalized, then there will be a financial benefit for both the country and the people. And lastly, because legalizing drugs will result in safer environments. In the first speech, the first speaker will talk about the freedom of consuming drugs and the financial benefits that legalizing drugs bring. The second speaker will talk about how legalizing drugs will make a safer environment. The first reason why drugs should be legalized is because people have the freedom to consume anything they want in a free society, no matter how harmful it may be. In other words, it is bodily autonomy, because that's what freedom is. And if an outside power is to forcefully stop a person from consuming drugs, then it's violating one's freedom. One of the top priorities of a country is to ensure each individual's freedom, but by banning drugs, people's freedom is not kept. The second reason why drugs should be legalized is for financial benefits. Black markets are known to be a place where many illegal products are sold or traded. Black markets have increased the price of drugs throughout long periods of time. And people sell a lot of their possessions just to buy these drugs in black markets. But once these drugs are legalized and are sold legally in stores, then both the citizens and government will see many beneficial changes. It was estimated that if drugs were taxed and sold in the United States, the 7th country with the most drug use in the world can make more than $85 billion annually. This means if drugs are sold in all government-approved stores in the world, then governments will be able to tax the drugs and sell them for a profit at a reasonable price for the people. With reasonable prices, people will not spend exceeding amounts of money just for these drugs. This also gives the people to use their money more wisely and not lose all their possessions just for these drugs. This will result in a win-win situation for both the government and the people. Thank you. That's it. That's it.
Saying that the internet's a bit unstable, but yeah, we heard all your debate, and I thank the member for his remarks. And the opposition should bear in mind that POIs can always be made after the first 30 seconds, which is like 5 minute 30 seconds on the screen, and before the final minute, so that's 1 minute on the screen. So that's when you can make POIs. So yeah, there's that. I now call upon the first speaker of the opposition case to offer their case for 6 minutes. So
today, this opposition speaker is here to go against legalizing all drugs. Drugs such as cocaine are hazardous. It can cause headaches, seizures, heart attacks, and much more. This could mean the end of a person's life due to a single use of a specific drug. Although the opposing team may state that cocaine, marijuana, and other drugs could help with some patients, On the medical side, the use of the drug may change if it is legalized for everybody. For instance, people could randomly consume drugs to fulfill their satisfaction. This opposition speaker disagrees with the legalization of all drugs because they are addicting, causes health issues, and creates problems in communities. First, drugs should not be legalized because the addiction would be too dangerous and costly. As the opposing team probably knows, addiction is a very dangerous factor that can change a person's character. But with drug addiction, it could repeatedly make a person take drugs despite all the harm it could cause them. Also, it can cause chaos in a family because a person will only have one goal, which is to get money to buy drugs. According to the World Health Organization, harmful uses of alcohol cause an approximate death of 3 million people annually. If a person continues this habit for a long enough time, there will be serious side effects that will cause mental illness. If drugs get legalized for everybody, it will cause people to go to the hospitals rather than helping people to get out of one. Secondly, drugs shouldn't be legalized because many of the drugs, such as marijuana, heroin, and cocaine, can cause serious health issues. If the addiction of taking drugs continues, long-term effects could be heart or lung disease, mental illness, cancer, HIV, AIDS, hepatitis, and more. It harms the brain and the body, which could sometimes last permanently. If not treated with proper care, it can increase a person's chance of receiving a disease and can increase a person's mortality risks. Last year, 270 million people used psychoactive drugs, and about 35 million people got drug disorder. However, if the use of drugs is legalized for everyone, there would be more consumers, leading to more health problems. That's it.
Okay, that was excellent, and I thank the member for his remark. I now call upon the second speaker for the proposition for 6 minutes to offer her rebuttal.
The proposition's third point is that by legalizing drugs, general safety of the people and the environment will be better. Switzerland had a crisis regarding heroin usage in the 1980s, and instead of hardline policy, like using aggressiveness, they established a heroin center and the means of harm reduction for addicts to be treated and stabilized. Like the workers there give people good quality heroin and clean materials and support them for jobs and homes. And after that, the country's drug crime rates drastically decreased. Also, the opposition speaker previously stated that there will be more health problems if drugs are legalized. But in the article that we previously read with our class stated that by legalizing drugs, people will be more comfortable on using their drugs, and they will use more clean ways and tools to do it, and there will also be more chances of them surviving their state if they want to come out of it by going to like a health center or like their family's help. And also the war on drugs in America was a huge failure because people usually oppose on making drugs illegal since they don't really think that it's something of a critical matter, since the most dangerous form of drug to a human is tobacco and alcohol. Like tobacco and alcohol, drugs should also be legalized since most of the people on earth drink alcohol and use tobacco in their daily lives. And that seems to be okay with most of them. That's it.
I thank the member for her remark. The second opposition speaker will now deliver the rebuttal speech opposing the case for 6 minutes.
Should I say?
Yeah.
This opposition speaker strongly believes that drugs shouldn't be legalized. The first reason is the trouble that made by drugs could cause in the community. First and foremost, are the troubles that can happen to the students. They aren't fully grown yet, mentally or physically. So when the student uses drugs, it will affect their brains. Moreover, drugs can destroy relationships. If people start taking drugs, they will lose control over themselves. This can make people make mistakes. Lastly, drugs are very effective to people who already have mental problems, such as depression and anxiety. Drugs can give impulse to commit suicide. These reasons support the belief that drugs shouldn't be legalized. To add on what proposition said, the first speaker said, I think freedom is freedom within the law. For the peace and order of society, the law must be observed, which I believe that I think freedom doesn't support drugs legalization. And also the financial benefit is uh, not good as the bad things that can happen to the people who get drugs by mentally and physically. This is the second speaker of opposition side.
Okay. Excellent job. I thank the opposition speaker for his remarks. At this time, we will now provide both teams with a 3-minute break to work on their summary and rebuttals. So you guys can take a break for 3 minutes to prepare your rebuttal now. And bear in mind that no POIs will be allowed to be asked during the final rebuttal speech. Okay, since 3 minutes is over at this time, we will be moving on to deliver a 3-minute summary and a rebuttal speech. And bear in mind that no new information may be introduced during these speeches. We will now start with the third opposition speaker, who will start for 3 minutes. I believe it's Shu. Okay.
Before I start, my computer has some problems, so when I go to my Google Doc, the camera switches off.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
Well, as long as you can hear you. Yeah. You can start anytime.
This opposition speaker believes drugs should never be legalized. First of all, addiction by a drug is very dangerous. With drug addiction, it could repeatedly make a person take drugs despite all the harm it could cause them. Consuming drugs is risking oneself, for it seizes the control over one's body. Secondly, it is because of health issues. If the addiction of taking drugs continues, the long-term effects could be heart or lung disease, mental illness, cancer, HIV or AIDS, hepatitis, and more. It harms the brain and the body, which could sometimes last permanently. If not treated with proper care, it could also increase a person's chance of receiving disease and can increase mortality risk. Finally, easy access over drugs will just increase consumers. When drugs are not legalized, it is difficult to buy them, not to mention the enormous price it costs. If drugs become restricted by law, the price will be lowered and it will be easier to gain access on drugs. This opposition speaker also wants to state that drugs waste money. They do not give financial benefits like the proposition speaker stated. Also, the previous second proposition speaker stated that alcohol and tobacco is legal in many countries and nothing bad really happened. However, according to the World Health Organization, harmful uses of alcohol cause an approximate death of 3 million people annually. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your remark. We will now hear the proposition's final summary to be delivered by the first speaker for 3 minutes.
Yeah. Wait. Okay. So the third speaker would like to go over the reasons why drugs should be legalized. Firstly, freedom is something that all people should be ensured with. To support this reason, it was stated that a country's top priority is to ensure one's freedom. The second reason why drugs should be legalized was that it brings financial benefits to the people and the country. In detail, it was mentioned that by taxing drugs and selling them for a reasonable price, both the people will be able to make wiser decisions with money and the government will make a profit. The last reason why drugs should be legalized was because it would result in safer environments. Instead of using violence to stop these drugs for people, people could use health centers, and a lot of people were able to get rehab from these drugs. And it also stated by the second speaker that by legalizing drugs, it will ensure one's safety because people will use, for example, cleaner needles and will have the less chance of getting HIVs, hepatitis, and other disease. And the opposition speaker stated that there will be more health problems, but with the article that was the article by Jeffrey Myron showed that by legalizing drugs, then that there will be much less health risks. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
I thank the member for concluding the debate. Debaters, you've all done a great job, and the judges will take a short time to add up the scores and determine the winners. Will the next team please start with preparing the debate. So we'll be going off on a short break to add up the scores, determine the winners, and come up with the feedback. So that's going to take a bit of time. So the following team can take this time to prepare for the next 3 minutes. So yeah. Okay, I think we've added up all the points and decided on the winner. And sorry for taking so long because we thought it was really difficult to choose who was like over 100 because you guys all did so well. And it actually came down to a single point on who the winner was. So before I announce the winners, I think the judges will be giving some feedbacks on how you guys performed. So as I listened to the proposition speech, what the proposition did so well was like they're really organized with their materials, and what their speeches were really structured, and they were able to clearly deliver their points, and that was something that they really did well. And for the opposition, I think the opposition's rebuttal was very, very powerful, and it was really able to get the message through. And yeah, and I think that rebuttal was really good because you're able to like clearly focus on each point of the proposition side and then tackle those things. So that was a really strong, yeah, that was really a strong point for you guys. So, great. So would the other judges like to give some feedback?
I'll go next. So I'll start with the proposition. So when I first heard this topic, the very first thing that came into my mind was, you could argue this with health, right? You have health benefits if you legalize drugs, but you guys didn't take that approach, and you took a very unique approach, which I think could have been either really good or really bad for you. And in this case, I think it was good for you. Your structure and the way you presented those points were very, somewhat unique. They were not something I would expect. And so I think in some of your points, the opposition could have rebutted some points, but they either didn't choose to or they didn't think of it. Also, your definition of drugs, you guys did a very good, it's very good to state the definition, right? But also because of your definition, I think that might have been a way, that might have been a reason why you took this approach. You defined drug as a pleasure use, not, so that excludes any health use. So if you use drugs for health, then that's totally excluded, which could have been bad for you, because I think if you didn't define drugs like that, you could have also mentioned a bit of health in there, even if it wasn't your main points. And for opposition, I think you guys learned about ethos, pathos, and logos, right? For each of your points, I think if you used a different approach to support your argument, for example, drugs, you mentioned that if drugs are legalized, it would be bad for the students. And you used logos, you used logic to prove that point. But I think it would have been much stronger if you used pathos. Like, we're all students, right? So if you bring up examples from school, oh, we're all in school and we've all seen the struggles of students with addiction, I think that would have been a much stronger point. And that goes with, but actually, with the health issues and the addiction part, I think it was very smart to bring up statistical evidence. For the proposition, I think your arguments would have been stronger if you used logos. I didn't see a lot of statistical evidence, not as much as the opposition, to support your points. So I think that would be another better thing you could have done. Yeah.
9 or Ms. Smith?
I can go. I think Ricky and Isaac kind of summed up what I was thinking. Isaac more in detail than I would have thought, but Yeah, you guys had very structured arguments for both sides, and the delivery, considering that it might be the first opportunity for a actual structured debate, was not bad. And I'm glad you guys made use of what we kind of taught you last week. One thing for both sides is that you guys didn't do points of information, which could have been a critical advantage for either team. So for the next teams that debate, if you can keep that in mind, points of information are included on like gaining points for your team. So make sure to make good use of those to, of course, for the strategic advantage and for the points as well. So yep, keep that in mind. But otherwise, that was good.
I was very impressed by everybody's first debate. Good job. Give yourselves a hand. It's very intimidating to get on like even a Zoom meeting and have your face on camera and you're saying all these things. So great job with that. I need to keep in mind that I need to give Isaac statistics when it comes to APUSH next year. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Statistics, all right. You guys had a lot of great examples. Some of them were very broad examples and some of them were specific examples. So sometimes the broad helps you in your argument and sometimes the specific helps you. So either way that you use them, that's a good way to use examples because that's always your backup. I won't put my teaching hat on, but it's always great to use examples. And you were also very clear in your delivery and very well understood what you were saying. So great job.
Okay, like, I'm really sorry to kind of say this, but I don't know, like, it was such a close match that we're kind of still struggling to determine who the winner might be. So I think we'll be announcing that after the second debate. And there's another reason for this, because if we announce the winner for the first debate, like right now, the second debate speakers will not have as much time as the first debate winners to prepare for the debates. And also like, so it was kind of an unexpected event, but I think to make it more fair, to give like equal preparing time for the winner of the second debate and the first debate, I think it'd be better for us to delay the announcement, yeah, till the second debate. Okay, so sorry for
I think
that.
Ricky just wants you to be in suspense and to pay attention to the second one. Like, what's gonna happen?
It's actually all tactical. It's planned, guys.
Okay, so 9, would you moderate us for the second debate?
Okay. This debate will come to order. The resolution before us today is plastic bags should be banned. Representing the proposition are its first speaker, Chunhyun, the second speaker, Sky, and the third speaker, Chiwon. Representing the opposition are its first speaker, Yeji, the second speaker, Hain, and the summary would be done by Yeji. On behalf of the House, I would like to express a sincere welcome to our judges, Ms. Smith and Ricky and Isaac, and I, 9, am your moderator for today. Each speaker will deliver a 6-minute constructive speech. The first speaker of each team will also get a 3-minute, or if you have a 3-person team, you will have a third speaker for your summary and rebuttal speech. As for time, you can see the time behind Ms. Smith on the screen. And points of information will be allowed during, points of information will be allowed during the constructive speeches only, but not during the first 30 seconds and the last minute of the speeches. And for each speech, 15 seconds of grace will be allowed. Does anybody have any questions?
When you have a PO1 and you can't answer, can your teammate help you?
Sorry, we can't. Okay. Could you repeat that question, please?
You get a POI that you
Okay, there's feedback. I think you're asking about POIs and whether your teammate can help you answer a POI. Ricky, could you answer that? If your teammate can help you answer a POI?
Only the speaker can answer the POIs. So the teammate cannot help answer the POI in the middle of the speech. So yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, in the rebuttal, they can like mention it later on, but then not during the speech. So yeah.
Any other questions concerning the debate? If not, I will now call upon the first speaker, Chongyeon, to introduce the proposition case for 6 minutes. Please begin.
The proposition, can you hear me?
Yes.
The proposition speaker states that plastic bags should be banned because, first of all, plastic bags have a negative impact on human health and animals. When they are used as food packaging, chemicals from plastic products can leach into the food that is eventually eaten. Some of these chemicals mimic the female hormone, estrogen, which can disrupt the natural development of people, especially for adolescents. This may account for the early onset of puberty in girls and low sperm count in males. Other chemicals in plastics, such as BPA, may cause cancer in people. Some fish become tangled in or choked by discarded plastic bags that end up in the ocean. According to National Geographic, nearly every single seabird ingests thrown away plastics, which can cause health issues and in some cases, death. Microplastics have been found in 114 marine species, and almost one-third of these end up on our dinner tables, according to the website called Repurpose. These plastics contain PCB, which can interfere with the endocrine and respiratory function. Finally, plastic bags are harmful to the environment. Plastic bags are made from petroleum, which is a non-renewable source. It takes thousands of years to be decomposed. Plastic bags are thrown into the environment and ruining the nature. According to Conserve Energy Future, some scientists found out that the best way to get rid of plastic bags is breaking them down into small pieces, but they eventually float to the ocean and ruin the water. This proves that plastic bags can never be disappeared without harming the environment. There are already about 165 million tons of plastic floating around the ocean, and if the production of plastics is not reduced, there will be more plastics than fish in the ocean by the year 2050, stated by the World Economic Forum. In other words, if we do not reduce the production of plastic bags, it will become very critical to the environment and society. Thank you.
Okay. I thank the member for her remarks. We shall now hear the first speaker for the opposition for 6 minutes.
Also, before we move on, if people have issues with their mic, if they send their POIs to me, I think I'll be able to read it out for them. So yeah. So that's another alternative that you can probably do if you have mic issues. Okay.
Okay. Shall now hear the first speaker for the opposition, Yeji, for 6 minutes.
Honorable judges and members of the proposition, I am the opposition speaker that would like to argue that plastic bags should not be banned. Although plastic bags are known to be unsafe for our world, plastic bags should not be banned because plastic bags are better for the environment compared to other resources, and plastic bags are more functional, durable, and more reusable than paper bags. And lastly, plastic bags are safer to use than reusable bags. My first point, plastic bags are better for the environment than other resources. The University of Oregon's website revealed that plastic bags produce less stress on the environment than paper or cotton bags. The plastic bags use less water, require fewer chemicals, and produce less greenhouse gas than paper or cotton bags. In reality,
point of information, can I make it? Okay.
Yeah, you can now.
So Could this proposition speaker ask about what chemicals are produced while producing paper or cotton bags?
Your did you ask what kind of chemicals does plastic bags make?
Oh, paper or cotton bags.
I'm sorry, but I didn't. I can't really answer your question.
If there are no more POIs, the opposition can continue with their speech.
In reality, paper or other materials takes more resources, creates more waste, and results more pollution compared to plastic bags. Making paper bags adds waste to the environment and it kills the trees, one of our most important tools for fighting pollution. Paper bags cause 70% more pollution to the air and 50% more pollution to the water than plastic. According to our research in 2011, the report showed that plastic bags cause 200 times less climate damage than reusable bags. As I mentioned earlier, making paper bags requires a lot of trees to be cut down. Also, during the manufacturing process, produces a higher concentration of toxic chemicals compared to plastic bags. Paper bags also weigh more than plastic, which means transportation requires more energy, adding more carbon footprint. Moving on to my second point, plastic bags are more functional, durable, and can be reused more than paper bags. Plastic bags are better than paper bags when carrying materials like groceries, clothes, books, and many more. Paper bags can be easily ripped from the weight of the items, while plastic bags don't. Also, plastic bags work better than carrying wet clothes or shoes. Using paper bags or cotton bags could cause leaking or get ripped, while plastic bags won't leak and get ripped easily. Plastic bags are hard to get ripped apart because, according to plastic expert Tim Oswald, in plastic bags, the molecules are all tangled up like a plate of spaghetti, which is hard to get ripped. Plastic bags can be reused several times and can be reused them in bathrooms, bedrooms, home offices, and cleaning up after your dog on a walk. Using paper bags several times and reusing them in bathrooms, bedrooms, home offices, and cleaning up after your dog won't be really functional compared to plastic bags. A study found that paper bags need to be reused at least 3 times, but it'll be really hard to reuse them because the paper bags aren't very durable. For example, it'll be hard to reuse a paper bag that was already ripped. Thank you.
I thank the member for her remarks. If there are no points of information, then we will now hear the second speaker of the proposition, Sky, for 6 minutes.
Plastic bags can be easy and capable to produce, but it is very difficult or even impossible to get rid of them. And the fact that plastic bags are an intensive cause of climate change is one of the biggest concerns in the process of production. In the process of production and degradation, lots of toxic substances are emitted into our environment. Most of the plastic bags we use are created from polypropylene, which is manufactured from non-renewable fossil fuel-based materials such as petroleum and natural gas. And in the process of production and degradation, methane and ethylene are created. These toxic substances, apart from being a non-degradable substances, are one of greenhouse gases, and by emitting them, it contributes to the worsening of climate change. These gases are more problematic than carbon dioxide since they have much more warming effect. Globally, it was estimated that the production and degradation of plastic emitted more than 850 million tons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere last year. It is also projected that by 2050, those emissions could rise up to 2.8 billion tons.
Oh, PY.
This
Oh, sorry.
This proposition speaker believes that by reducing the use of plastic bags, the worsening of climate change can also be reduced. The opposition speaker previously stated that plastic bags are better for the environment than other resources such as paper bags, but it is known that there are environmentally friendly materials such as eco bags and canvas bags. Eco bags and canvas bags are sturdier than plastic bags and usually can be reused more than plastic bags. Thank you.
Okay. What information?
Oh, was that point of information denied or accepted?
Accepted.
Oh, the second opposition speaker asked that if we should not be using plastic bags, what kind of replacements should we be using and like how they're viable?
The proposition speaker stated that eco bags and canvas bags can be reusable, which are environmentally friendly materials.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then thank you. I will now call upon the second speaker for the opposition to present their case for 6 minutes. Oh, okay. Because the second speaker for the opposition has issues with their mic, if the first speaker could present their case instead of them, that would be helpful for our debate.
Do I start?
Yes, please begin.
The third point, plastic bags are safer to use than reusable bags. When people use reusable bags, they forget to clean it, which causes harmful bacteria to thrive in the bag. A study by the University of Arizona found out 51% of all reusable bags contain coliform bacteria and 12% contained E. coli, indicating the presence of fecal matter and other pathogens. The same study found that 97% of individuals admitted that they never washed their reusable bags. The study of Reason Foundation stated that washing their reusable bags after use makes them a bigger drain on the environment because so many water will be used to keep them clean and safe to use. People intend to put their reusable bags in the hot trunk so they don't forget it the next time they go shopping. But leaving it in the hot trunk will cause all bacteria to grow 10 times faster, from a study published by the University of Arizona and the Loma Linda University School of Public Health. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that COVID-19 can live up to 3 days on polypropylene, which is the material that most reusable bags are made of. From reusable bags, several Oregon teens and adults fell ill after attending a soccer tournament. Scientists traced the sickness to reusable grocery bags, which had been stored in a bathroom used before the outbreak by a person with a norovirus-like illness. This shows how reusable bags are not safe to use. If plastic bags are banned, then everyone would have to go out and purchase a reusable bag, which would provide a disadvantage to the poor who do not have sufficient budgets to buy reusable bags. And the proposition speaker stated that the plastic bags are harmful to the environment. But like what I stated in my first speech, using paper bags or cotton bags needs more material to make the bags, which could cause air pollution. Thank you.
Thank the member for her remarks. We will now give 3 minutes to both teams to prepare their 3-minute summary and rebuttal speech. Remember that no new information may be introduced during these speeches.
For the second speech.
Yes.
So the opposition speaker
Oh,
stated,
wait. Was that a POI?
yes.
Would the second speaker like to decline or accept?
I will accept.
Okay.
So the opposition speaker stated that the coronavirus, it tends to increase more in polypropylene, but in the process of polypropylene are part of polypropylene are in the process of making plastic bags, so plastic bags also have polypropylene.
So did the proposition speaker ask if plastic bags are also get COVID-19 because they also have the material polypropylene?
Yes.
According to what we researched, plastic bags doesn't have polypropylene, they have polytheism. So plastic bags don't get coronavirus.
I state a POI.
Yes.
Could the proposition speaker ask if using plastic bags would be more hygienic and beneficial for the environment than washing reusable bags? And if so, could the opposition speaker state reasons why?
According to what we researched, plastic bags had no remarkable issues with bacteria or mold, and they were more sanitary compared to reusable bags.
If there are no more points of information to be made, we will now move on to our 3-minute break so that both sides can prepare for their final summary.
That's 3 minutes.
Okay.
So 3 minutes is up. We'll now hear the proposition's final summary to be delivered by the third speaker for the opposition's final summary to be delivered by, opposition to speak for 3 minutes.
Finally, plastic bags should not be banned because plastic bags are better for the environment compared to other resources. Plastic bags are more functional, durable, and more reusable than paper bags. And lastly, plastic bags are safer to use than reusable bags. First, like what we said, plastic bags are better for the environment because they require fewer resources and produce less waste and gas compared to other kinds of bags. Second, plastic bags are more functional, durable, and more reusable because plastic bags can carry more items. Plastic bags don't get easily ripped, and plastic bags can be reused in many ways. Lastly, plastic bags are safer to use because many harmful bacteria can be easily grown in reusable bags and can make people be ill. The proposition speaker stated that plastic bags puts negative impacts on animals and humans. But paper bags also gives animals and humans negative impacts. For example, over 1 million seabirds and 100,000 sea mammals are killed by pollution every year. As we have said in the first speech, making paper bags kill the trees, which are our greatest tool for fighting pollution. Then if we made more paper bags, more trees would die. That would conclude to greater pollution, which would equal more animal deaths. Next, the proposition speaker stated that plastic bag is harmful to the environment. By using paper bags are more harmful to the environment. Using paper bags needs a lot of trees to cut down, which harms the environment. To make paper bags, many trees has to be cut down, and cutting down trees would increase the amount of air pollution. The world's forest absorbs a third of global emissions every year. Particles, odors, and pollutant gases such as nitrogen oxides, ammonia, and sulfur dioxide settle on the leaves of a tree. But if trees are gone, all of these harmful gases would be in the air. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now listen to the proposition's summary speech by the third speaker.
Today, this proposition speaker states that plastic bags should be banned. Plastic bags can ruin humans' bodies. Food that contains harmful chemicals from plastic bags can negatively impact people. For example, as some of the chemicals from plastic bags mimic the female hormone, it may result in early puberty for young girls and sperm decrease for men. EPA, which is another chemical that is contained in plastic bags, can cause cancer. Fish that ingest plastic bags end up in people's dinner tables. PCB, which is a chemical that can interfere with the endocrine and respiratory system, are contained in the fish as they ingested plastic bags. Though plastic bags are so easy to produce, it takes few thousand years for them to decompose. And in order to get rid of plastic bags, is to break them down into small pieces and eventually flow them to the ocean water and negatively affect it. Also, during the process of producing and degrading plastic bags, gases such as methane and ethylene, which are greenhouse gas, could contribute to global warming. According to the World Economic Forum, there are already about 165 million tons of plastic floating around the ocean, and if the production of plastics is not reduced, there will be more plastics than fish in the ocean by the year of 2050. Not banning plastic bags will become very critical to the environment and society. Thank you.
thank the member for concluding the debate. You guys all did a great job. Now, the judges will now take a short time to add up scores, come up with feedback, and determine the winners for both debates. So we'll take some time for that. You guys can take a break.
Okay, I believe we're decided on, we've added up all the points, and I believe we're decided on who the winner is for this debate. But before we say that, we'll be proceeding to the feedbacks. I really carefully listened to both sides of the argument, and one thing found the opposition to be excellent at was developing the point. As the opposition said, said their first speech, I noticed that she used although DSC, ASB because of X, Y, and Z. So I think that was a really excellent use of a like sophisticated thesis statement because it really like displayed what the position of the opposition was. So, and then all the evidences were strongly corroborated by all the points were strongly corroborated by evidences found from refutable websites, and I could really tell that there were a lot of preparation put into it. So yeah, so that's what the opposition did well. And proposition side, as I was listening to their debates, also for the opposition, like one thing they did really well was mention the COVID crisis kind of. With this topic, it's easily to go only one-sided because the environmental aspect is a huge thing. But then, as Isaac like said in his last feedback, I found it to be like really daring for you guys all to like go out there and then choose a whole another like topic, and I think that made your argument like really really powerful. So for the proposition, so one thing I noticed was they brought a lot of statistical, well, more like scientific like evidences to back up their points. Like they mentioned like estrogen, BPA, and like a lot of different chemicals that cause negative impacts, and then their points were really well developed and their POIs were also put pretty well. And I felt like their rebuttal was really solid. So that's where the proposition did fit. So yeah. So there's my response. And anybody else like to?
I want to speak before Isaac this time.
Okay.
Yeah, good job again, you guys, on your first debate. Like Ricky was saying, some of your specific information from well-recognized sources was great. You used National Geographic, you used phrases like BPA and microplastics, all those things that we're aware of. And for the other side, you also had very specific points about how it was better for the environment and just the other things that you used. And again, like Ricky said, to bring up COVID-19, that's been actually something that a lot of my adult friends in America have been debating about whether to use plastic. Now that everybody was going to reusable, now you use plastic because you can leave it outside, throw it away, whatever. So that was a great job bringing that up.
Oh, okay. I'll go next. Good debate. I want to, I'll start with opposition this time. So the oppositions did very well on their points, but I feel like your points were kind of based on one thing, that a great part of your argument was based on that paper does more damage than plastic. But I feel like if the proposition, they did bring it up, that they kind of brought it up, but if the proposition brought the emphasized even more the point that it's not just paper bags, right? There are so many other types of bags, and while the opposition was doing their point, if the proposition brought up a POI or such, emphasizing that, I think that would greatly diminish the opposition's argument. And additionally, the proposition I think had better evidence. They had great structure. I could understand their points pretty clearly. And for the opposition, I think you guys argued about an environmental aspect along with a proposition. But I think as opposition, it's so much harder to argue with the environmental aspect because plastic is bad. It's bad. So if you want to argue it from a environmental aspect, I think you guys would lose. I think you would should have brought up more points such as convenience, or maybe not banning it at all, but maybe adding a tax on it so that it would reduce the use of it, since it's much more convenient, right? And one thing I noticed in the early part of the argument, I think it would have been good to differentiate what kind of plastic bags there are. So there are non-biodegradable plastic bags, and then there are reusable plastic bags. And I was kind of confused on which one you guys were talking about, because you said that it was reusable, but then there was another point that you can't recycle. It was a bit confusing. So if you could emphasize that maybe non-biodegradable plastic bags, the really thin ones, are bad, but maybe the bigger ones, right? The macro bags that we all use, those are plastic. And those can be reused over and over again, right? If you maybe split up what the definition of plastic bags are, I think that would have been stronger for your argument. Yeah.
So feedback wise, I do think that, again, a lot of the other judges have summed up what I was thinking. It definitely was an interesting debate because both sides brought up ideas, statistics, and facts that I wasn't thinking of, both for the proposition and the opposition. And I also just want to applaud you guys for finishing well and for doing POIs for both sides. Both sides did make an attempt to use points of information, and both sides also did. I want to point out that the opposition did put more of a rebuttal into their second and final speech, but both sides did make good use of POIs, and so that was interesting to watch because it developed your argument a bit more. So yeah, but overall that was very good, and Ricky's going to go over the winners for both debates and the instructions for the final debate.
One moment, please. Won't take that long. Okay. Both debates really came close. So, well, as we just mentioned, so that's why you kind of had to take a long time to discuss who was the actual winner, and then we had some issues adding up the points. So you guys all really came close to doing it, and I was surprised how good you guys were at your debates, like particularly considering your ages. And I thought every debater was really excellent in what they did, and yeah, good job for that. So here's the announcements. For the first debate, debate 1, all drugs should be legalized. With the margin of a single point, the opposition side is the winner. So that's Siwoo, Do-kyung, and Sunmin. And for the second debate, plastic bags should be banned. By a small margin, the proposition side wins the debate. So that's Ji-won, Sky, and Junghyun. Okay, so excellent job, y'all, for that. And I know it's normally time we say goodbye for our usual lessons, but then as I mentioned, because we have another debate, we might go a bit over time. So I hope you guys are fine with that. So here's the instructions for the second debate. So the winner of the first debate, Siwoo, Do-kyung, and Sunmin, will be the proposition side for the topic, for the second topic, which is school uniform should be required. And Ji-won, Sky, and Junghyun will be the opposition side for school uniform should be required. So yeah. Is everybody clear on that, or do they need more clarification? Good job, everybody. And yeah. How many more minutes do you guys think you'll need to prep for the debate? We can't give you that much because.
Would there be a limit, like maximum time?
Oh, I'd say no more than 5 probably. So does 3 sound fine for everybody? Okay. Yeah, because we're running short on time, and yeah, I can't let you guys like really late. So I think I'll be giving you guys 3 minutes from now to prepare for the second debate. And Sunnin, Chiu, and Dogyung will be the proposition side for school uniform should be required. So they'll be saying that school uniform should be required, and Jiyeon, Sky, and Jeongyeon will be the opposition. So they'll be saying that school uniform should not be required. So yeah, there's the clarification for that. Okay, 3 minutes starts from now. By the way, you guys should probably decide on who'll be the first speaker, second speaker, and third speaker for the debate because, yeah, that's pretty necessary.
That's 3 minutes.
Okay. So since the 3 minutes is up, we'll be starting with our final debate. This debate will come to order. The resolution before us today is school uniform should be required. Representing the proposition are the team Siwoo, Sunnin, and Dogyung, and representing the opposition team are speakers Jiwon, Sky, and Jeongyeon. On the behalf of the House, I would like to express a sincere welcome to our judges. Nine, me, and Isaac, and Ms. Smith. And I, Ricky, am your moderator. Since you guys are probably all familiar with the instructions on how the time's going and all that, I'll kind of be skipping over that. And okay, I will now call upon the first speaker to introduce the proposition case for 6 minutes.
So, this proposition speaker is here to state that school uniforms should be required. Although some students may want to show themselves through what they wear, some others would not be able to do the same. This could lead to bullying and a low self-esteem. School uniforms should be required because it will make students feel involved in a community, help students focus on work instead of what to wear, and help students not get distracted from different colors and different clothes of what their friends wear. First, school uniforms should be required because it will help students and the school to represent themselves. It's like a badge of pride that could show being involved in a community. It creates a sense of belonging that could make a person feel inside of an organization. This is important because being a student in our age may need to feel belonged and involved. According to healthfully.com, teenagers at our age needs to feel belonged and feel good, which makes them feel good about who they are. Secondly, school uniforms should be required because it will help students focus on work instead of thinking of what to wear. Uniforms will improve students' performance at school because it will help them focus on learning rather than thinking about their outfits. Schools were created to educate students, not to make them stress and feel left out. Principal James Convey, a veteran of Chicago Public Schools, stated that wearing the same outfit makes students less concerned about what they are wearing and if what they're wearing is good enough to fit in. That's it.
Keep speaking until meets computer. I thank the member for his remarks. We shall now hear the first speaker for the opposition for 6 minutes to deliver their case.
School uniforms and why students wear them has been a topic of concern and debate for as long as uniforms have been around. Though people who argue that wearing uniforms in educational institutions make people appear all equal, give a sense of community, and teach discipline. The opposition speaker believes there are more disadvantages to wearing uniforms than advantages. Wearing school uniforms takes away freedom of expression. Most developed countries, such as the United States and France, believe in one's right to freedom of expression. Making it mandatory for students to give up their right to express themselves through clothing is wrong. According to Procon.org, the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution guarantees that all individuals have the right to express themselves freely. In the case Richard Thurston, which revolved around a boy refusing to have his hair cut shorter, the U.S. First Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that compelled conformity to conventional standards of appearance does not seem a justifiable part of the educational process. So, not only is a demand to wear uniforms in a sense unconstitutional, it also goes against ruling by the Supreme Court. In this way, it can be said that making uniforms in school mandatory is un-American. Another practical concern is many students feel they do not look their best in uniforms, fit the mold of certain body types, and curvier or plus-size individuals often feel out of place and uncomfortable in uniforms. Wearing uniforms lends itself to more comparison, and children who do not fit the mold of a normal student in terms of body type are commonly ridiculed by classmates. Though there are some benefits to wearing uniforms in school, but there are more disadvantages. Thank you.
I thank the member for her remark. I now call upon the second speaker for the proposition to provide us with their case and rebuttal for 6 minutes.
Okay, I'm the second speaker of the proposition side. The another reason is that dress codes can be a distraction in school is because all the cool things and colors that appear on a student's shirt can really catch another student's attention. However, student clothing is distracting in many ways. The bright colors and designs can be distracting for some students. In addition, if students wear their own clothes in school, then students can judge each other, lowering their self-esteem. And students can also compare each other's by the cost and outlook. The students are immature, which means they can compete with the clothes. To sum up, if students wear own clothes can distract others, and also it can cause problems between students. To add in, there was case on Korea. For example, there was a case in Korea from 2018 that students wearing uniform of a school were caught smoking and hitting other students. The problem was less complicated because the police were able to identify which school the students came from and were able to call in the heads of the school and the parents of the students involved. The school uniform can identify their own that their students, and also they're wearing the clothes that they have property to do what student does. The thing that isn't good thing that students shouldn't do, if we wear the clothes that is named with our school, then it helped our it helps students can think that we shouldn't break the rule. And lastly, I strongly believe that students should wear the school uniform because of many reasons that I mentioned in my speech. Thank you for listening.
A point of information.
Does the proposition accept? Okay.
The proposition speaker stated that not requiring uniforms may cause bullying. Does that mean that wearing uniforms does not cause bullying? And if so, could the proposition speaker state statistics?
Can you repeat the question?
The proposition speaker stated that not requiring uniforms may cause bullying. Does that mean wearing uniforms does not cause bullying? And if so, could the proposition speaker state statistics?
I want to say that the wearing own clothes make one different way by bullying, then we should block that way by school uniform. Even though we wear school uniform, there might be some bullies, but we want to reduce by some kind of type of bullies that caused by not wearing the uniform and that wear own clothes. Some kind of like they're competing with the costs and also like some kind of outlook. How does it look like? Yeah, that's the point of my speech.
Okay. I thank the member for his remarks. The second opposition speaker will now deliver the rebuttal case opposing the case for 6 minutes.
Uniforms oppress students with formality instead of individuality. A sense of individuality is key in democratic societies, and it should be nurtured when young. According to procon.org, at a time when schools are encouraging an appreciation of diversity, enforcing standardized dress sends a contradictory message. In schools where uniforms are specifically gendered, such as girls must wear skirts and boys must wear pants, transgendered, gender fluid, and gender non-conforming students could feel ostracized. So in order for each person not feel the pressure of sociality conformity, it is important that schools keep a sense of diversity and allow students to wear clothes that can express themselves.
Okay, I thank the member for her remarks. At this time, both teams will be getting a 3-minute break in order to prepare for their final summary and rebuttal speech. So, yeah. So 3 minutes to prepare.
Time is up.
Okay. We will now start with the third opposition speaker who will deliver their final summary speech for 3 minutes. Bear in mind that no new points could be introduced and no POIs may be asked during this period. So may the third opposition speaker deliver their final summary.
The opposition speaker believes that uniforms should not be mandatory in school. Mandatory uniforms give limits to the students' freedom of expression when school actually say that all individuals have the right to express themselves freely. Required uniforms also give a detrimental effect to one's self-image and self-esteem because of the difference of each student's body shape and personality. One student can be curvier than others, and one can be plus size than others compared to the appropriate size of the uniform. These students can easily lose their confidence with their appearance by comparing themselves with other students and be depressed. Uniforms also force students to be formal and keep them from being individual, especially when girls are usually required to wear skirts and boys wearing pants. These can cause students to feel pressure of conformity. Thus, the opposition speaker states that it is important for school to keep a sense of diversity. The proposition speaker previously stated that by wearing uniforms, bullying can be decreased. But according to pros and cons, an associate professor at Brock University stated that there is no evidence in bullying literature that supports a reduction in violence due to school uniforms. Thank you.
I conclude the member for her remark. And we will now hear the proposition's final summary to be delivered by the third speaker for 3 minutes.
This proposition speaker wants to state that a uniform gives a school a sense of unity as a whole. It shows that the student is involved in this community and can give the student a sense of pride. Secondly, anything else from what the school has given can be distracting to students. If one student wears a bizarre outfit, it is natural that others cannot help glancing at that student. Like this, students will not be able to focus on studying. If given the choice of clothing, students will waste their time thinking about what to wear. It could become common among students to judge each other by one's clothing. Those who go to school are minors and have guardians. The reason why students or minors have guardians is because students are not of age to decide on hard choices yet. Because students are not fully grown, students, especially if at a sensitive age, could become stressed about their clothing. And because the school wanted to give freedom and help have creativeness, students could sidetrack from the real meaning of a school, learning and giving moral values. Lastly, students can also wear their everyday clothes on weekends or hours, so they do not, students can also wear their everyday clothes on weekends or hours when they do not go to school, so creativeness is not a problem. Independence that the second opposition speaker stated about is not a problem too. A school is there to respect one's freedom and creativity, but it is also there to unify students as a whole and teach them how to live as a group in society. School uniforms also distinguish students from one school to another.
Okay. I thank the speaker for her final remark, and the debate has been concluded. You've all done a great job, and the judges will take a short time to add up all the scores and determine the winners. Okay, excellent job, you guys. We'll try to be as quick as possible for this to determine the winner and the final winning team and the MVP for this. As we had already mentioned, the MVP will probably be getting chicken. So yay for whoever that may be. And we've decided there will be some small awards given to the winning team as well. So, yeah. So are we decided on? Nine and Isaac? Okay, we've decided on the winning team and as well as the MVP. So I'll give the feedbacks first as I always had. And okay, so the proposition side started out with the excellent opening speech, stating the primary reasons on why it should be implemented, and points were really clear, and you had a clear thesis within your first constructive speech, so that was nice. And another thing that the proposition did really well was the rebuttal. The rebuttals were strongly structured, and well, the opposition asked some powerful POIs, but I think the proposition side did such a wonderful job tackling that and then answering it appropriately. So kudos to that. And the final summary speech done by Siu was great throughout both of the speeches, and yeah, I think they're really clearly organized, and then they're able to recap what came out during the whole speech just simply, and that was really a plus for me. So excellent job for that. For the opposition side, I was actually really surprised to hear all the ideas that came out. I was it's the American Constitution and all that, how equality views play into that. I was really surprised, and I feel like Miss Smith, our American history teacher, will have a lot more to say about that than me. So, but then those points were really well developed, and yeah, they're powerful. So, and I forgot to mention this about the proposition, but proposition did an excellent job connecting it to real life situation in Korea, and I felt it really brought down the argument from it made it really relatable. And the proposition also did an excellent job on doing the rebuttal on the final summary as well. But one thing that I feel like the opposition could work on was rebuttal. Although the POIs really covered for that, the rebuttals weren't as strong enough. So yeah, that's one thing you guys could probably work on. So yeah, there's Ricky's comments on this thing. Excellent job, guys.
No, Isaac, I'm gonna speak.
Wait,
No.
fine.
No. Okay. So I think that both sides did bring out points that were previously not mentioned. We did talk about uniforms. Some people did talk about uniforms in our pet peeves assignment and stuff, but both sides did bring out reasoning and arguments that weren't mentioned then. I think the proposition did point out very real life issues, and they brought pretty good reasoning behind their issues. And as for the opposition, I think you guys focused more on very detailed things that would not more of a very real specific situations for certain individuals and things. But one thing I would comment on is that it was very focused generally on body positivity and body image. And if you could have expanded your argument beyond that, that would have probably been very helpful in your argument. But otherwise, it was great delivery. You guys thought of these different perspectives that might not be considered in our audience right now, and so on and so forth. So that was a very good point. As for the proposition, like I mentioned earlier, they brought up some good reasoning to back up their things besides just the reasoning that I would have expected. So that was pretty interesting to listen to. And overall, you guys all prepared excellent arguments. So that was very, very good.
So,
Am I allowed to go next?
of course.
Okay. I'll start with a proposition. I think both sides did really great. Starting with the proposition, your points were great. your structure and your logic behind it, the evidence you provided for every point, I think was great. But there was nothing exceptional. Like, if I were to think of an argument, then it would have those points, right? So I think if you want to stand out more, I think it would have been better if you found points that that I haven't thought of, or I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's much more impactful if I go, oh, that's a really good point, rather than, oh yeah, like that was a good point, well delivered, but I think a lot of people would have thought of that or something like that. For the opposition side, expanding on what Nine said, I think you guys were too focused on one point. So you had 3 points, but I feel like I could have merged them all together in 1 point and say freedom of expression or something like that. Rather than focusing, I mean, because you guys had a lot of time left over, I think it would have been better to put a lot of the points you had and combine some of them together and introduce other things, like maybe financial problems. Some schools don't have enough money to provide for uniforms, right? Uniforms are expensive. Another thing is that it might be inappropriate, right? Some students might choose to dress inappropriately, so it might be better to just have a dress code rather than uniforms. But the points that you did decide to argue about, I think you guys did a really excellent job on that. You provided great evidence, so good job. Yeah.
All right, to sum up, I think what the rest of your teachers here have said, you guys kind of did I don't know if you realize this, an East versus West mentality when it came to wearing uniforms. And that was very interesting to me, especially as I heard your examples of like the Korean example and then using the Constitution and the First Amendment. That was really interesting. It's really tricky always to bring in the First Amendment because it can be argued both ways. And if you do it well enough, it can be argued both ways. So I was surprised somebody didn't stop you, but that's just because I know too much about it. But you guys did a really good job with not a whole lot of time. I know you probably prepared ahead of time, but to jump in there and do really good examples. It would have been good probably to hit your note home for the proposition side to really hammer in on how bullying could be something why you should wear your uniforms. And then for the opposition side, you had some of your out of the box examples, and if you would have like just brought that home, that would have been good. So great job.
Okay, so I think it's the time you guys have all been waiting for, and I think we'll be announcing the winners for this debate and the MVP as well. So this debate also really came to a close cut, and with the marginal difference of 1 point, I think the winning team is the opposition team, which is Jeongyeon, Sky, and Jiwon. And okay, so nice job, you guys. And for the MVP, we had a really hard time deciding this well because all of you guys did such a wonderful job. Like, I'm not even joking. And all your points were clear, your evidences were strongly put, and all of your debates were really good. But then if we had to choose a winner for, well, the MVP for this debate, I think it goes to Yeji for being able to adapt so well to like urgent situations. And I was really able to see that you put a lot of effort into your research, and also, so we've kind of unanimously decided on that Yeji will be the MVP for this debate. So you can contact me now. You can contact me later for like to receive your award, and the winning team, I'll be contacting you guys later for all of that. So really nice job, you guys. there any other comments by the judges? Or
Thank you for judging us. Thank
oh,
you.
okay. Guys, thank you for our 6-week journey, and I know you guys might be all tired, and you guys probably will have to go back to school soon. But yeah, thank you for all that, and yeah, it was an excellent experience for all of us. And yeah, and as we did the debates too, like I learned a lot of new things from what you guys said. Like there were some things that like even I couldn't think of, and yeah, I was like, whoa, I could really learn from doing that and all. So I'll probably be watching over the debate sometime later, and yeah, you guys were all excellent.
Good work, guys.
Yeah, that's good work. And thank you for the past 6 weeks. It was cool to see how we've kind of built up to all this. And it was definitely an experience for both of us and for the judges that were here today to listen to you guys and your excellent arguments. And just like delivery wise, everything, I was so like proud to watch you guys actually make use of so many things that we've talked about. And yeah, so thank you guys for bearing with us for 6 weeks today until like 9, and in Korea it's like probably 11. So for staying up this late, you can go sleep after this. And yeah, thank you for bearing with my awkwardness and our general lack of structure. But anyways, thank you for a good 6 weeks, and I hope you guys have a restful rest of your break as you prepare to go back to school.
Math teacher, do you have any final comments to your students?
Okay. So I guess this is the time for that emotional speech and the goodbye. But I'm not good at those, so I'll just say, good job, guys. I think you've improved a lot, and have a great break.
Okay.
Thank you.
I guess we're done for now, and yeah, thank you, Ms. Smith, for coming to assist us with the judge, and thank you guys all for following through. Yeah, see ya, guys.
Guys, bye.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. 수고하셨습니다.
수고했어. 안녕.
잘 가.